Howdy folks, John here. Right, it's Sunday the 22nd of November, and I've just been listening to LBC, or watching it on YouTube at the same time, and there's a couple of things that are of dire importance to be discussing, and I'll go through them. I've got 3 points. The first point is something I've been going on about for a long time, and that is health passports, COVID-19 health passports, ID papers, wristbands, call it whatever you will. They're now on about it, coming out sooner rather than later. They're still just pushing ahead with this bullshit, and it's going to take your everyday freedoms away from you. Like I've said before, we can go around and do what we want as long as we don't break the law. Okay, we can go to work, we can go shopping, we can do anything that we want to do, and nothing stands in our way. But when these health passports come out, they're going to blackmail you with your freedom. You won't be able to walk into your workplace unless you've been COVID negatived, and that whether that means being tested, or whether that means being vaccinated, and at what frequency are these vaccinations going to be rolled out, who bloody well knows. But it's the same point again. If they get their way, the government that is, they're going to force everybody to have to provide papers, please. And they're going to tattoo a serial number onto us, because that's the same thing. And it's no good saying, yeah, well, we can be tracked and traced and all that anyway through CCTV and mobile phones with GPS and credit card payments and registration plate, ANPR. That doesn't matter. They can do what the hell they want with all that. They use that for marketing data, to know what to sell us and to advertise towards us. But none of those things block you from going about your everyday life. And this is on LBC today, trying to get people to say that, yeah, it's a great idea that they're going to bring out these wristbands that declare who's COVID negative. Freedom passes, they called it. Freedom passes. Wakey fucking wakey, folks. So that's point number one. Point number two, Rishi wishy-washy Sunak is on about bringing taxes up in the spring, right? Now, how the hell is he going to do that? How the hell are they going to think that they can push taxes up against us when they've crippled our economy as it is? Over £2 trillion in debt apparently now, isn't it? According to LBC again this morning and other people. What's going on with this bloody traffic? People trying to get out when they're not allowed out. Right. Oh yeah, not allowed out. There you go, mate. Sorry, mate, you're not allowed out. But how the hell can they even think about increasing taxes when they've knackered up the entire economy? I mean, my business is... They've made me move practically an entire year's worth of wedding photography and videography bookings, which has cost me in excess of £61,000 now. And the only reason my business is okay is because people have been paying the bill at the same time as they would have done for the original booking. And next year there's going to be lots of Monday to Thursday weddings because venues are having to recoup their own losses, like I've said before. So they're offering midweek wedding mega deals, and people are taking them up on the offer. That's what's making my business and other sections of the wedding industry sector survive. But there's already been a lot of people who have gone bust because they haven't had adequate contracts that allow them to make sure that they get the bill paid when people choose to cancel, because since the lockdown finished, everybody else has wanted to cancel, and they have, or move the date. And that's added onto the top of the cost, because this is like 60 odd weddings next year that are on key dates that I can't sell to other people. But fortunately, next year is going to be twice as busy. So it's going to work about the same sort of thing in terms of revenue overall. But it means I've got to work twice as hard. I've got to run around weddings carrying 15 kilos worth of cameras up and down church spires and all these different places. But that's beside the point anyway. So They're on about bringing taxes up in the spring. I mean, for fuck's sake. And then the other thing that goes hand in hand with that is they've also said that they're looking at freezing the public sector. Pay rise freezes yet again. And people quickly forget that we've had a decade of public sector freezes. We've already had they've already had a decade. There was a nurse online who called into the LBC earlier on. Let me just have a quick drink of pop because I'm losing my voice because I've got a dry mouth. Right, a nurse called into LBC earlier on, and she said people are quick to forget that nurses and public sector workers have already had a decade of pay freeze, and now they are about 20% behind inflation. So if they have a pay freeze, by this time next year, they're going to be 23% behind normal inflation. So they've had a fifth of their wages cut away. And how are they supposed to afford things? A lot of these people are living paycheck to paycheck. You know, what nurses in the public sector need is a 25% pay rise immediately. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. We've had 7 minutes worth of me ranting almost. So we've got health passports that I'm going to keep batting on about, because until you understand exactly what it means that you are going to be at the beck and call, this is the other point I wanted to make. If we have health passports and we have mandatory testing and tracking and vaccines, and anybody that's got any suspicion of even a snivel or any type of symptom, or the 93% of people who falsely got called COVID positive, what happens if, when we've got all these wristbands in place and all these sanctions, then all of a sudden you've got to go to work and you get a text message off the government saying that you've been declared as COVID positive because you might have queued outside fucking Asda for 10-15 minutes and been in the queue with a load of other people who have foolishly forgot to turn off their bloody Bluetooth. And now the whole queue's worth of people have all been declared too sick to do anything. So what's going to happen? You're going to end up with a fortnight of having to stay at home, isolated, and for all the self-employed people that work on their own, like me, we're all going to be screwed. Because how the hell do you expect me to phone up 14 wedding customers if I've got one every day for a fortnight in the summer, telling them, oh, I'm ever so sorry, but I've been put in prison for 2 weeks by the government when there's nothing fucking wrong with me, and now I've got to start refunding all this money to all these people, because that's the sort of thing that puts businesses out. Anyway, do something about it, people, for fuck's sake.